This is a Tibet House member video and is a part of the Force for Good class series, now available at tibethouse.us.
So that's the first principle of the path in this lamrim, okay, that we're talking about. So second, once you have that, you do feel compassion for others. But then he says here, transcendence without the spirit of enlightenment, that's the bodhicitta, spirit of enlightenment, cannot generate the supreme bliss. People wrongly translate it sometimes as the thought of enlightenment, but it's not just a thought. It's a deep determination in the deepest part of the mind. And so it's not even a mind in the sense that it is a mind, but it's not a mind in the sense of sort of a mental idea. It starts as a mental idea, but then it turns into a true spirit that sort of becomes your spirit. The spirit of enlightenment, as it's called, of love and compassion for all beings, universal love and compassion. So one, without the spirit of love, it cannot generate the supreme bliss of unexcelled enlightenment. Therefore, the Bodhisattva conceives the supreme spirit of enlightenment. And then they have a verse, a beautiful verse about how you have to feel sorry for the beings. Carried away on the currents of four mighty streams. Those mighty streams are the stream of the lust for existence, the stream of the lust for non-existence, and two others which I forgot what they are. I think that's habitual ignorance, maybe an instinct for ignorance, but I'm not sure about the last two, but don't worry about it. But it's useful if you do know them, but I can't remember them right now. Tightly bound by the near inescapable chains of evolutionary action, that's karma. Trapped and imprisoned in the iron cage of self-concern. That means just thinking about what I want, what I get, what I have. That's self-concern. What do I need? What do I get out of this? Always bringing everything back to your own thing. It's an iron cage. Because when you're thinking that way, you never have enough of whatever it is. Totally enveloped in the dark of misknowledge, born and born again and again in endless cyclic lives, uninterruptedly tortured by the three sufferings. The three sufferings, birth, old age, that's usually four. Birth, old age, sickness, and death is four. The three are the suffering of suffering. That's the easy one. Then the suffering of change, which means what we think of as ordinary happiness. And then the suffering of creation, meaning that, which is only experienced by those who have achieved certain meditative states where there's no frictional kind of suffering of banging into anything because they're in these vast states of love and compassion, the Brahma realms, the contemplative mansions or something like that. And there, then it's the knowledge, it's kind of a knowledge thing, because they don't feel bad, they feel good, but it's a knowledge that somehow this is only a temporary state, and that the life state, it had causes to reach that meditative state, and that therefore it will collapse eventually, and therefore they'll be back in this sort of where everything doesn't work quite well, and that's the suffering of creation, which only a high meditating person gets to know, Such is the state of all beings, all of them just your mothers. From your natural feelings conceive the highest spirit. Okay, so now more quickly, the second level of the lamrim is developing the spirit of enlightenment, of universal love and compassion. And this is where you are born again. This is Buddhist Born Again 101. To be a born again Mahayana Buddhist. Because it is believed that if you conceive the spirit of enlightenment, of love and compassion, for all beings, and that becomes your dominant motive, and you replace self-concern with the other concern, with altruism, then you become a different being. It's like a huge evolutionary quantum leap in your being, because although you are human and you have a greater degree of sensitivity and compassion toward other beings than other animal forms, nevertheless, you're still primarily, as an ordinary being, you're still primarily concerned for yourself. It doesn't mean you're necessarily selfish. You might be very nice sometimes, but when you're not nice, you're thinking, what am I getting out of it? You're evaluating things by thinking, like, what's in it for me? Your main orientation, like what you think is normal to get up in the morning And think about the day and think, what am I going to get out of today? What am I going to do for myself today? Why am I sitting? How's this? Where's my seat on this subway? And so on. In other words, you're always focused on the self and on what you want and need, and you're thinking about it. That's called self-preoccupation, self-cherishing, self-concern, and it's a prison of an iron cage. And so when you switch that, it's not that you, again, it's a matter of prioritizing. You minimize the priority of that, and you maximize the priority of what other people need. What do they want? There's a lot more of them. That's a bigger energy of what they need. And that becomes your focus. You kind of get distracted. Even, you could say, in the initial stages, you become distracted from what you want, even though you might be motivated to do it because it will benefit you. There's a fake thing that they make, the psychologists nowadays, some of them, and they say there's no real altruism because people who are altruistic have an underlying motive to do that it will benefit themselves, and therefore it's not true altruism. But listen, it's good enough altruism when they're only focusing on what they can do for others. That's good enough. It's silly to worry about it, that you're supposed to be, you're supposed to be some kind of martyr or something to be truly altruistic. But not at all. Why shouldn't you have enlightened self-interest? In being born again is a really happy person because you're really thinking about others. Why shouldn't you? It's harder for men than women, of course. Women are more advanced evolutionarily in their ability to be cherishing others more easily than males. And therefore that's why they're less violent, that's why they're more happy actually. That's why they have more fun, in fact. All these sex people, they go around, oh, women, oh, they get all excited about it. They do studies. It's not just because of whatever, it's because they are aware more easily that they're connected with other beings. They're less intense in their delusion of self-separateness. They still have it. Every female has a male element. Every male has a female element. But I'm just saying, I love to say actually, in our chauvinist culture, or any chauvinist culture, I was telling people, Muslims in Indonesia, I gave a lecture to the Prime Minister of India about it actually. And he was shocked. After I shook his hand and wished him well, I shook the hand and wished well and asked the good name, as they say in India, of his female interpreter with equal focus on purpose. It's a little bit naughty of me. I made an extra fuss about it.